Hey guys, Mustached Tom here to review the movie Red One. So this review is a little bit more timely. I do apologize for my absence of movie reviews. I'm back on it again, and I caught up, and now I'm catching up here. So here we are. Anyway, this is Red One. So I've seen this movie being promoted a lot. So I'm not surprised that this has gathered some more attention than most movies recently, and at least purely in terms of promotion, just that alone. Now, I've seen at least one review say this is garbage or something or other, and I'm like, we'll see. I had seen the movie, that was before seeing the movie, so I decided to still check it out. And here's my review as objectively as possible with that out of the way. So, we start the movie off with a little Christmas event where we see this young kid bring all his kid pals to where the current presents are being stored. He's getting ready to unveil to them that Christmas is a scam and it's all the parents and that Santa isn't real. Sorry kids, if you're watching this one, whoops. Oh well. Anyway, so, his uncle is trying to sell him on the idea that Christmas and Santa are still very much real, in which this kid is, whose name is Jack, by the way, is still very skeptical among, that framework of the whole Christmas shtick. So, with our youth established, we cut to 30 years later. We see that he works a quite shady job, or more shady than most, seeing him steal this card to do this whole, little mini espionage quest where he goes into this building, he tricks out the panel to get inside in the first place, and makes his way out after doing something or other. And this is to establish his ability to steal things and be, I guess, quite also still very much in the not believing category, so both of those things. All the while, we cut to inside a building where we're seeing a little bit of a Santa, and the idea is it's the real Santa in this iteration, I guess, is that he's there doing the kids meeting Santa in the mall bit. So, he has his bodyguard, played by Dwayne Johnson, Kel, there. And Santa's played by J.K. Simmons, by the way. And Jack by Chris Evans. So there's your character-to-character thing. And I don't know why the poster does this, but, shouldn't Chris Evans' name be under Chris Evans? Just for, clarity of, so Lucy Liu's name should be on the far right there. I don't know, something, is that really so hard to do? I don't know. I guess it's a nitpick on the poster, but whatever, anyway. So, yeah, Kel works as a guard, and he, sniffs out the cookies, he lets the kids forward. And then we learn that Jack's, I guess, real job, or more, he's currently going to get paid to investigate this blip he sees due to this unknown bidder. He gets paid by whoever gets him to do a job, is essentially his job. So he does so. He successfully targets the blip and gives the blip away. Turns out it's Santa Claus. Whoops. And in the process of that, we see that moments later that the many individuals sneak their way into the base of the, I think it's the North Pole, not the South Pole, right? Anyway, they invade and they get to stealing Santa. So, Santa gets stolen and he gets moved. Thus, Lucy Liu, playing this commander lady, wants to hire on Jack to find Santa. And Kel will join in as a sort of insurance to make sure that he stays on track. And to show him that the boss is boss, they send in that polar bear you've seen on all the trailers, that big polar bear you see behind them, that's Garcia. And the things we learn about Kel in this process is that he's ready to retire/quit from this job. And the reason he's doing so is more so on the adults rather than the kids. He's lost the belief system, as it were. And, I mean, I don't know if this movie just happens to be timely, but the naughty list has finally outdone the nice list, which, I mean, I'm not one to typically go into history that often, but I mean, if you want to talk deep history, boy, that naughty list must have been, like, outweighed by the nice, if we're being legit, by, like, a significant margin. Let's be real. For a long, long time, if we're talking about at least America's real history, you know, the one apparently, I guess, some schools with that are seemingly maybe perhaps not going to be able to teach our history anymore. I don't know what the fuck is going on with politics. Like, what the fuck is happening where learning our basic history is, like, on the line, I guess? I don't know what the fuck is happening. I don't know. It's so fucking weird. But here we are. Yeah, so that line was probably the hardest to believe. Like, if I were to span, you know, even our timeline of, like, from the 1990s when I was a kid onward, I'd be like, I guess the nice list, from my perspective, I guess would seemingly outweigh the naughty, I guess? I don't know, though. I wouldn't I don't know, like, again, what quantifies naughty is a little bit, harder to gauge with the Santa thing, because, like, a naughty kid, you know, that even that context is a little bit like, you know, versus adults, which is, you know, oh, I guess they get presents too from Santa, I guess. I don't know. I guess the idea is, anyway, enough of that. So yeah, Kel as a, mentions how he doesn't like the idea that the adults are very much in that category, in a much bigger swath than not in this year. Anyway, while that's going on, The team had moved in, they did their kidnapping. Kel witnessed it, he tried to stop it in the process of happening, but it was too late. Even the vehicle transport he got to was a fake out. Though I'm not sure how that happened. It's a little, because how it drove that far without anyone in it. I guess autopilot is meant to have been a thing. I don't know. This seems to be current day, so I guess that's possible. But we also learned that Jack has a code name, the Wolf. And he's claimed as the main culprit currently, anyway, before anything else, as he's brought into the fold of this whole operation. All the while, Jack has to deal with having a son and a wife. I guess based on their talks, I'm guessing they're already divorced, question mark? They never say the word divorced in this movie, but I guess that, again, I'm assuming based on the writing that it's implied that they are. At any rate, no, because I know. No, wait, no. I think they do. Well, I don't think they use the word divorce. Sorry, but they do. He does mention how she's with some other guy. That's like where they go with that. So, anyways, he's like picking up his son, who is like going into his whole ordeal of being like someone who's on the fringes and is like, and then Jack, being the type of father he is based on the kid he was, is giving his son some hacking advice and telling him like how to do it better, get unnoticed better. And then after dropping him off and then working his way back to his apartment, I guess is where he was trying to go, he noticed some suspicious-looking people looking toward him, and shortly after gets attacked. This is in the trailers where he tries to knock out all the guys that he counter stuns them and then leaves and then gets stunned shortly after himself. Then getting moved officially to the base. There, he meets the commander officially, who had him boxed up, and Jack begins to see the fantastical world, or at least one or two entities of it, including one headless horseman. And we then learn, or Kel arrives on the scene, and then we get a weird bit here where he's referred to, Jack, as a level 4 naughty lister, so that tells me that there's a tier list of naughty, apparently. Out of what? Who knows? Because it's never explained beyond this, so there's that. I don't know, I found, for a one-off line, it created, like, this whole, like, the cycle of, like, questioning that I had in my head. Like, how do you determine that, first of all? That out of every other level. How do you quantify that? Can you get out of that if you're in it? Is there a level where, like, you're just there forever? Like, I don't know, like, what, like, I wish there was, like, I actually do wish, in terms of that context, in this specific lore that they have this one line for, they actually took the time to explain it a little bit better. Because it does derive this whole slew of questions about, like, how this whole works, at least on the naughty list, at least. Does that mean there's a tier list of nice list? Or is it just generic nice list? I don't know. So, the Santa kidnapper, our antagonist, named Grittle, I believe, or Grita, or something along those lines, Elaine's, her shtick is that she wants to make the world a better place by capturing all the naughty people and then placing them there forever. Now, when she does her actual list of what quantifies the naughty list, she mentions things as simple as, like, what's it called? Not jaywalking, but like, oh my god, I'm completely blanking on the actual word. Where you like throw trash away and you don't pick it up. Littering. There we go. For some reason, I was struggling for that word. Littering. She would throw away litterers in like the low end of like what's seen as crime, quote unquote crimes, even though plenty of people litter, obviously. Especially where I'm from, which bizarrely, my state gets called out. What the fuck? In this movie. I haven't had that happen in a while. But before that, we do learn that the word elf is actually an acronym in this world, anyway. And ELF stands for Enforcement. I actually wrote this down. Enforcement, Logistics, and Fortification. So it's a defense unit, is what ELF is, in terms of, again. And the reason they mentioned Rhode Island is, I think this was meant to be a joke, but I didn't, as someone who's from here, I didn't get the joke of, like, what? He said something, he said some list was as small as Rhode Island. I think he meant his nice list, which I was like, damn. The literal smallest state in the world is what compromises the nice list? That can mean one of two things in my mind. Either the amount of kids on the nice list is insanely small, or it's actually large in number names, but the size of the actual, like, containment of the scroll or whatever it is, the device, whatever the list is compiled as, is a small object in its entirety. It's one of those two things, I guess, is what the joke is meant to imply. But I don't know which one it is, considering that we already learned that the nice list is smaller than the naughty list. So, I think it's the second one. I think. I could be wrong, though. I'm using the best of my context abilities to figure that joke out. Anywho, you know what would be nice for Rhode Island, though? A movie to take place in Rhode Island, to be shot in Rhode Island. But movies don't do that anymore. I would love to be a background character in a movie in my home state, but it doesn't happen. All the movies happen elsewhere. What the fuck? Fuck Hollywood, man. Like, I'm over here trying to be a voice actor too. I got my Mark Hamill Joker voice ready to go whenever anyone needs that, but no one wants to, I guess, hire Mark Hamill Joker voice, imitator right now, I guess. I'm sad about that. Anywho, so we then see that the main antagonist, the gorilla, wants to, has this snow globe weapon, and it's a transport weapon, and she uses it on the first person on the naughty list, which is Aaron Abel, AA. So he's tracked down, he's given one of these things, and then he's teleported, I guess. is, although we don't see him later, so I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. The movie doesn't explain this one, so I don't know. Did he die? Like, what the fuck happened? Anyways, Jack shows up, and Cal is with them, and the bad guys are obviously trying to outmaneuver them. So eventually they make their way to this beach, trying to gain some intel. And then he mentions her name, which I guess gives her her power or whatever, her true power or whatever. So this is where this ice cream shop car drives up, and then a bunch of these ice monsters, what you see in the trailers, pop out of. And then the whole fight sequence with them. So we see Jack is helping this middleman, as he refers to himself as, while Kel fights off this other snowman. And Jack fighting off one as well. So it turns out that removing their noses is the key to destroying them permanently. And so, the next course of action, for Cal anyways, is to look for unauthorized magic, is what they are looking for. And they learn, or Kel in this instance, learns that Santa has a brother in this universe. And they use this process earlier in the film, when I forgot where I didn't place it in my notes, but I put it here, where they use these toy shops as like portals with Kel's ability glove thing, to get them from location to location super fast. And while they're traveling, Kel mentions how Jack's kid is actually pretty good, and he brings up the lore that the brother of Santa is the one who actually invented the naughty list. And then we learn that the inventor of the naughty list is none other than Krampus. That is a name I'm all too familiar with. Krampus has his own horror movie, after all. I'm glad that the lore of Krampus has really ramped up over the years. Like, that not too many Christmases ago, I didn't know what a Krampus was. But I'm really glad that it picked up and has, like, elevated itself to the status of now Krampus gets his own movie, and now we get this lore in this universe where he's Santa Claus's brother. It's cool. I like, you know, I love lore like that. It's so cool. Anyway, so Kel uses a toy chicken to turn it into a real chicken. Like, his device is able to turn a toy car into a real car, among other things, to get to Krampus's abode. But, unfortunately, Jack sees himself some potential free coinage, so he takes some, and Kel says something that I find a little bit hard in the writing to really dig at, is that everything that, you know, placed Jack where he is was all of his choices. And I don't know if I necessarily like this angle in writing of saying all of a thing gets you to a thing. It just comes across as very naive in terms of writing. And, like, when I think about my own life, I'm like, okay, if I were to dissect everything that's happened, all the failures that has, if I were to sum up all the failures, because it's talking about his negative side, right? So I would have to follow suit. If I were to look at all of my failures, would I say all of them befall on me? Not necessarily. I mean, some of them, absolutely. Like, I'm willing to admit I have fallen short. But, like, I don't know, I feel like, say, this very job itself, YouTube, as my current thing, like, I can't really do that much to promote myself more than promoting on Twitter/X and now Blue Sky, which is like the new Twitter, but for, I guess, not deranged political people on either side that still want to use that site. Anyway, point being is that, here we are, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I couldn't see myself ever saying all my choices have led there. I probably would feel comfortable in saying some, and if I were being a bit more, harsh on myself, I would say even most my choices, but never all. That just seems impossible. Like, for me to have outdone myself in every failure and it all comes down to me, that just seems, that seems impossible, or close to impossible. Anyway, so, I don't know, minor word change would have sufficed there, I think. Like, most of your life choices got you here. I think that alone would have saved that line from being like, what the fuck are you actually saying, Mr. Guy over here? Anyway. So, they get to his abode, Krampus, and they see that he does a slapping game. So, Jack then proceeds to gamble himself and Kel as, being jailed there or being freed there based on the slapping game that Krampus just won overwhelmingly. So, this one is a bit of a weird one, because I'm pretty sure the rules state is that if you get knocked down, you lose. The first round, Krampus does knock down Kel, but I guess it doesn't count? Like, what the fuck? Like, how do you establish a rule this quickly and break it this quickly is beyond me. Like, whoever wrote that, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking on that one. I don't know. You could have easily fixed that. Make it a 2 out of 3 knockout thing. Like, one simple fix. Jesus Christ. Like, how do you fuck up that easily? Anyway, Jack gets Kel his little gauntlet thing that, like, allows him to size things up and down, and I guess gives him more strength. So, this is where you see in the trailer where he bumps up the 2 toy puncher things. I forget what they're called. The red and blue vintage ones. And they stop after escaping the Krampus abode to see a random piano out in the middle of the street. This feels like a very D&D situation I've heard of before. And as soon as they get out and they see the piano is just playing itself, I think Jack has all the correct instincts. You could drive around it. You could just leave. That's correct. And for whatever reason, Kel just says, you gotta open there's like a little gift on the piano thing. And he's like, you gotta open it. It's like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean you got what? So it reveals that it's another one of these globe things. And that Dylan, the son, was also given one of these globe things simultaneously, I guess. So the son is taken via the globe thing over the phone. And then Jack touches the globe purposefully now to save his son. So I think they could have workshopped that a little bit better to be a little bit more like precise. Like still have Jack like getting ready to walk away from it, and then he gets the call, and then he sees the son take the globe and then, get absorbed by it, and then he goes back to touch the globe. Easy fix. Like, you could still have the character hold on to the belief that he would have held, if not given one of the stupidest, answers to, just open it, you gotta open it. Like, what do you mean? That was his outcome, so he should have, why would that have convinced him? That doesn't make any sense. So, another easy fix, and again, they go for the stupider option of having him just be captured or whatever. So anyways, Jack touches it to end up in the same place as his son, as they both now see that more globes are being made to contain all the baddies of the world, or whatever. Meanwhile, the commander, played by Lucy Liu if you've forgotten, she's in this movie, yes, joins Kel as they work together to work their way back into the pool. It turns out that they never left the pole, or they moved him elsewhere in the pole to use his powers to get stead for this outgo of globes that they intended to send out, as it would turn out. So on their way back in, Jack and the son have a little talk, and I guess they're just conversation of them bonding and finding the good or whatever breaks the naughty thing. I don't know. Unclear, but whatever. So they get out. They find all the held prisoners in the shack, or whatever that location ends up being. So it's a fight at the pole, where they're trying to get to the sleigh, and we have the witch, I'll just call her that from now on, trying to get out to do her evil deeds, and Jack and Kel obviously defending and wanting to get, Santa Claus back. So earlier in the movie, Kel had, during his talk with Krampus, had kept telling him that he needs his Santa to do his job, and so on and so forth. And as it would turn out, during this little debacle, Krampus arrives on the scene to help Santa Claus. No, Krampus is still going to do his job, and Santa was even willing to be like, hey, you want to come back or whatever, or just hang? And then both Kel and Krampus are like, eh. So, Santa awakens after Krampus holds her off long enough for him to awaken after getting unleashed from his little prison orb thing. He shouts out to his deer, which he has a summon word, which they all summon back to him. And they all entrap her in the orb, in one of the crystal ice orbs. And Jack and Dylan see Santa, and thus they proceed to get a little, the once in a lifetime opportunity of, oh, these characters saved Christmas, yada 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 deal, where they get to see the whole bit. And we get to see how ninja-like Santa is with his abilities to shrink and grow and, you know, extend those abilities to the gifts. And if he even remotely slips up for a second, we see this earlier on, like he breaks like the one of the Christmas lights, and then as soon as he like props up past it, we see like these elves or trolls or whatever creatures they are like move in and like replace them as soon as he's like done. And we just see him like ninja move his way through the environment. And thus, with Jack talking to his son, Kel sees Jack's inner child or whatever, I guess, and then he's like, I'll stay. Hooray! On that little character arc, I guess. And then, they do the rest of the Christmas, you know, fly off into the sunset, whatever. And that was Red 1. And, I mean, it got a little bit messy. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, yeah, I can see why someone would say this is bad. It's messy, for sure. There's definitely some enjoyable lore in here. Like, that's also true. So, you know, I'm trying to outweigh those two things together. The comedy, or attempts at comedy, fell a little bit flat here. In terms of action, there was a bit of it. So, you know, you do see a good chunk of that in the trailers, though. So, you know, main frame of trailers still being poorly put together is still a thing, I guess. But in terms of an overall product, I don't know if this lands at a 5 or a 6. I'm in between those two right now in terms of a final score. It's pretty meh in terms of movie quality. There are definitely quite a few things you can fix here. From character motivations, like the piano example being a key one, obviously. And, you know, playing into what the character believes versus what they just get told by another character to do, and then suddenly they do it for whatever reason. Like, things like that can easily be changed, and that, to me, still offers a comedic beat, obviously. He's like, nah, I'm just gonna ignore the present and just gonna walk away. Like, that feels like a... Hell, I would argue that probably feels like a better comedic bit than nothing, or them opening it. It just... I don't know, that just feels like nothing. Like, the comedy beat builds itself off of, like, he gets told to do the thing, and and then he can have, like, a little one-liner, and he's like, nah, I'm out of here, and he just starts walking away. Like, that's a little comedic bit. Is it great? I wouldn't even argue so, but it's something, right? I don't know, like, I'm sure someone could write a better line for it, but, like, I'm trying to, like, fix this movie here, so, simultaneously. So yeah, I'd probably go for a 5 or a 6 out of 10. And that's my review for Red 1. And if you ended up enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second to my PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And third to my Discord server, you can join Collab Shield to like cool stuff. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.